You worked as a doorman on the, I could say, legendary Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
That's right.
Where you saw what you described as, this might be another Wikipedia quote, by the way.
But
this is where I
no,
do my research.
Does
It's
it
Wikipedia.
say hellish scenes?
Hellish scenes in quotes.
Wikipedia is damn right about that.
All right, thank you. That's a win. That's one in the win column. So yeah, tell the story of that. What's it like to work on Bourbon Street? What kind of stuff did you see?
I mean, I was a host at a fine dining restaurant that on the corner of Bourbon and Iberville. So that's the first street if you go from Canal Street onto the quarter. So this is like across from like a daiquiri spot. It's the middle of the tourist corridor of New Orleans. And the spot was kind of like kind of a tourist trap. It was called Bourbon House. The food was good. Chef Eric, I don't want you to see this and think you don't make good andouille sausages, but it was overpriced. And so we had to maintain this like fine dining facade on a street where almost everyone is like throwing up, fighting, or is half naked. So there was this policy. We had these giant glass windows next to the tables. So if you're eating at a Bourbon House, you can look out onto Bourbon Street and you can see as you're dining a full panoramic view of all these partiers throwing beads, boobs, all that.
Yeah.
We had this policy where if we're serving someone, we can't look onto Bourbon Street if something crazy is happening. So if there's a fight or something like that, we can't look, right? So there is a dude, I remember I'm fucking serving a table. There's a dude in a Batman mask, butt naked, with 12 pairs of beads, just jerking it.
Yeah.
Back to jerking it.
Full on.
He's jerking it, right? And every single person at the restaurant's looking out there like, look, they're taking pictures. And the manager, Steven, looks at me. He's like, keep your fucking eyes on the table. So I'm serving these people, and I'm like, you like red beans and rice? Or would you like some Creole fucking da-da-da? And there's just this dude. And, ultimately the manager went out and, escorted him further down Bourbon Street. But, I would get off work at around midnight every night. And that was when Bourbon Street is at its most chaotic. And so I lived in the French Quarter as well. So I lived about 12 blocks down Bourbon in a small Creole cottage in a cute little like orange, old school New Orleans 1-story spot. I lived in the attic above these gay meth dealers named Frankie and Johnny.
Oh, wow.
And so I would get off work and I would basically have to walk through like this battlefield. I mean, it was a battlefield. Getting home was out of like the Warriors movie. It was almost
best of
impossible.
Humanity on display.
Yeah, it was like Kensington, Philadelphia, but just alcohol. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's all alcohol, but it's a lot of visitors, right, from outside.
Almost all visitors.
Yeah,
and that kind of would set the flow for the weekend. For example, if the Raiders were playing the Saints, Raider Nation, and they do not play around. If it's the Patriots, that's a whole different crowd. They think they're better than everybody else.
Yeah. Well, they technically are better than everybody else, but yeah.
But people from Massachusetts aren't like the cream of the crop in terms of like American superiority.
Strong words, yeah.
No offense, but I mean,
no, I'm sure they won't take that as
they are good at fighting, though. I'll tell you that.
All right, great.
New England has hands compared to some places.
Which places are those? Colorado.
Colorado has no hands.
Yeah.
The West Coast. Not too much hands.
That's why you feel safe talking shit about Colorado.
But if you get to the corn-fed parts of East Colorado, I mean, these guys got hands bigger than my head. They'll beat the shit out of me. But anyways, I'd walk back to my house on Bourbon Street, and I would be sifting through this battlefield. And I had a friend at the time who was like, yo, we should do a taxi cab confessions type spinoff where we ask people to confess a deep, dark secret. And we post it the next day. And so we tried that, and it went viral on Instagram instantly. It was mostly incest stories, people admitting to incest. I know it's a common Southern stereotype, but there's some truth to it. There was some murder confessions. That was pretty crazy. We never really posted any of those, but
how did you get people to confess?
Pretty easy. And New Orleans has a homicide solve rate of like 22%. So, I mean, most of the time, they'll just tell you. I remember I was walking down Bourbon, and I asked this kid, I was like, what's your deepest, darkest secret? And he told me, he's like, I just smoked a dude in the Magnolia. It's a project housed in the Third Ward, project development. And they said, I just smoked a dude in the Magnolia playground for touching my sister, molesting his sister. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, look it up. And I was like, all right, hold on. And it was like, man found dead in Central City playground, like appeared to be homeless, shot execution style. So I told the kid, I was like, why'd you tell me that? He's like, man, put that shit out there. Like, I'm trying to go viral. Like, tag me too.
Oh, wow.
Like, dude, I don't think you understand that even if you're a juvenile, he was probably 15, you can get juvenile life in Louisiana for a homicide, even if it's, justified. So I just deleted the footage in front of him. I was like, I'm going to delete this footage. See that trash button? I'm hitting it right now. Don't tell anyone that again. And he was like, all right, I appreciate it. And he walked off. But it's the little moments like that that I always remember.
Anything for the gram, I guess.
Yeah. After a while, though, it became sort of repetitive. Because there's only so many things that people can confess to that go viral, and just.
Oh, so you were trying to see like what?
Well, I mean, there's the incest one. Some people just say like, I eat ass. That was like everyone said that. Or like I cheated on someone, or
I've seen a surprising number of people on your channel mention eating ass.
Yeah. The way how seriously you said that will live in my head for the rest of my life.
That's good.
Yeah,
I want to live in your head saying that a lot of people mention eating ass.
Yeah, a lot of people do mention that.
Yeah.
Also, that's kind of where I developed this magnetism for freestyle rapping. Everywhere I go, people rap. Not sure why. I mean, as a former rapper myself in middle school and for the first year of high school, I think that maybe like it takes one to know one. But everywhere I go, people start rapping. If you and me went outside of this podcast studio and walked around for 5 minutes, I can find somebody.
It's rapping.
I can tell who raps. Or who can rap, who has 8 bars in their head that they're ready to go.
I think there's something about you that creates the safe space to perform their art.
Yeah. The Quarter Confessions series was the first time you saw the suit.
That's when the suit came out.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Ron Burgundy, Eric Andre inspired type.
Where'd you get that suit?
Goodwill.
Yeah,
always.
Wow. I was playing checkers, you're playing chess. Good job.
I mean, Goodwill has a surprising amount of identical gray suits for sale.
Yeah, I've actually gotten suits at thrift stores before. They're great.
Yeah, a lot of people donate suits, and I was going for oversized suits, which are the cheapest ones there. So
yeah,
it was like $12 to $25 every time for the outfit.
If I wanted to look super sophisticated, like I'm from another era, I would go to the thrift store.
Yeah,
because they're usually like this. There's like the patterns they have. It's just like a more sophisticated suit, which is what you kind of picked out. It made you look ridiculous, but in the best kind of way.
The tough part about Quarter Confessions for me is that everybody that was featured, for the most part, would more or less regret being a part of the show.
Yeah.
And that, over time, just gave me a bad feeling where I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like I am doing an ambush interview, especially because I'm presenting as so agreeable, yet the intention is to make something funny.
Yeah.
And I get that that's what people do in the satire sphere. I'm sure Ali G and Bruno and Borat did the same thing. And I don't think it's unethical because that's all for the purposes of comedy. It is what it is. But for me, I wanted to do something different.
Yeah, because there's an intimacy to confessing a thing.
Right.
And then you just don't really realize the implications of that.
And the atmosphere at Bourbon Street is like anything goes, like it's a free-spirited place. But if you transport that energy digitally to a different place like Colorado, they might look at it and be like,
different place and time, like 5 years later.
Right.
That same person has a family and stuff like this, and all of a sudden they're talking about eating ass.
Right, exactly.
And you're like,
kids have to think about that. Or, imagine if there's a video of your grandma or grandpa out there when he was a kid talking about eating ass. That's a horrible experience. to discover that about your, respected elder later in life, it's tough.
I don't even know where to go with that. But is literally the opening question was, tell me your deepest, darkest secret?
Yeah.
You just come up to somebody like that?
Yeah.
How often do you get like a no? How often, what's the yes to no ratio?
Well, the weird thing is like, we don't really extract answers from people. Like what makes a good interview is when they're ready to talk. The more you have to talk and try to get an answer out of them, it's just not a good vibe. Like, so we kind of look for people who appear to be already ready to talk, open body language, like they seem confident and verbose, and we approach them first.
There's a look.
We wouldn't approach a shy person and be like, come on, tell me. No.
What about a person with pain in their eyes?
Oh yeah, we're interviewing them.
Yeah. So they're ready to talk. They're just not like, there's different ways to be ready.
Right.
I see homeless people a lot and they always look fascinating. And the ones I've talked to are always fascinating.
Yeah. We just did a video in the Vegas tunnels, like obviously it got taken down by Fox, but whatever. I
was going to make a joke that I didn't see it.
We tried to help a lot of them by getting them IDs. And when I made the documentary, I had this idea that it's a big roadblock for them is getting identification. Without IDs, you can't check into a homeless shelter. You can't do day labor. You can't qualify for housing, nothing. So when we interviewed them, they'd basically tell us, if I had my ID, I wouldn't be here. And so we said, okay, we're going to really help this time. We're not just going to talk to them about their struggles. We're going to actively go out and get them IDs at the DMV. So we did that, and nothing really changed in their life. And we sat down with a recovery specialist who works directly with them day in and day out. And he explained to me that he's been trying to do the same thing I tried to do in a 1-week period for the past 10 years. And that they have deeper underlying traumas and pain that need to be dealt with far before they even take the steps to enter society as a housed person.
That's a heavy truth right there.
Breaking that shame cycle has to come first, because you got to think, right? Like, I'm from a generation that romanticizes vagrancy and homelessness to a certain extent, if it's called van life, or if it is done in a way that's sort of like Rolling Stone, Willie Nelson, Hit the Road. People who are above 50, they feel really embarrassed to be in the spiral of homelessness. They feel like failures. A lot of them have kids who they weren't there for. That's not the kind of pain that can be dealt with by giving someone a tiny home.
Yeah.
It's a good step forward, but for someone to really make a change, they have to want to change. And so it's, how do you help someone and guide themselves in the right direction? And if you're too paternalistic and you use shame as a method to get them to clean up, they're going to end up right where they started.
Yeah.
That's a tough truth to accept, because a lot of people want a quick fix to things. And I don't blame people who go out and give bologna sandwiches out to the homeless.
And each case is probably its own little puzzle.
Each person is so complex. Now imagine drug abuse, what that does to the brain.
Yeah.
Trauma, childhood trauma. There's so much to unpack. And then just the belief that they're the undesirables, that they don't deserve to be a part of society because they failed a fundamental obligation, like taking care of their kids.
If we could take a small tangent to, you mentioned this Vegas video, which is fascinating. It was taken down recently by YouTube, or YouTube took it down based on...
Yeah, it was illegal.
Fox 5, I guess.
So the documentary was 1 hour and 45 minutes. We used 10 seconds of a news clip that was publicly broadcast by Fox 5 Vegas. And according to the Copyright Act of 1976, you're allowed to use any publicly broadcast news clip in a transformative capacity in any documentary film or research paper or broadcast or anything. They, specifically this corporation called Gray Media that controls the TV stations in almost every small town, they had lawyers hit up YouTube, and YouTube complied with an illegal copyright strike to get our video immediately removed. And I'm a YouTube partner. I'm in the YouTube partner program. So to think that I wasn't forewarned it's a bit strange, but it also smells like corruption to me to a certain extent.
Yeah, you shouldn't have that amount of power. At the very least, they should have the power to just like silence that 5-second clip, maybe.
Yeah, but I'm taking them to court because I have the means to be able to do so. I'm a larger creator. I have an audience. I have the financial backing to do it. I can't imagine how many people out there are smaller creators with like not as much consumer of a fan base they can mobilize against someone like Fox 5, or the money to go to court. So I want to take them all the way there to set precedent for future cases, so that these giant mainstream media conglomerates can't copyright strike documentary filmmakers at will. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, thank you for doing that. That's really, really, really important. And that's really powerful. And it might hopefully empower YouTube to also put pressure on people to not. And YouTube is in a difficult position because there's so much content out there. There's so many claims. It's hard to investigate. But YouTube should be in a place where they push back against this kind of stuff as a first line of defense, especially to protect smaller creators. So what you're doing is really, really important.
Appreciate it, man.
And it sucks that it was taken down. Do you have any hope?
Well, I talked to my YouTube partner today, and he said that the Fox 5 lawyers have 2 weeks to comply with my counter appeal. But, I spent $20,000 on human voiceovers in 5 different languages. So I invested probably in total like $70K into this video. So even if it gets reinstated, the steam's kind of been taken out of its trajectory.
But also, it's just like a really important video. It's good for the world. And
yeah, why the hell would Fox 5 have a vested interest in having the video taken down?
I just hate it when people do that to videos or to creators that are doing good in the world.
Yeah, it's not an expose on the mayor of Las Vegas. It's an attempt to show the civilian public how to get involved in a local nonprofit and potentially intervene in the lives of the tunnel people.
Well, fuck Fox 5, the other Channel 5, as you said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for pushing back.
Hey, man.
And highlighting it. Hopefully it gets brought back up. But yeah, defending other creators.
Yeah.
So that other creators can take risks and don't get taken down for stupid reasons.
Yeah.
So Quarter Confessions was written?
No, it was all real life reality TV documentary. But it caught the attention of a larger company called Doing Things Media.
Yes.
And they contacted me pretty much like a week after I graduated from college in the May of 2019. And they said, hey, like, how would you like to produce a show? I was like, what do you mean? They were like, we'll get you an RV. We'll pay you $45K a year. We'll pay for gas, for food, for 2 hotels a week. Go out there, make content, and we'll be in the background just powering it all.
And that was the birth of All Gas, No Brakes.
Yes. I mean, All Gas, No Brakes was named after a book that I wrote called All Gas, No Brakes, A Hitchhiker's Diary, which chronicled the 70-day journey that we were just talking about.
It's a tough book to find, by the way.
Oh, yeah. There's only a few copies left. I'm thinking about doing a reprint at some point down the line, but I sold off the last 100 copies like a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until then, you guys should go read On the Road by Jack Kerouac.
Yeah.
You should read it. I don't know if you read it
If you
before.
can't get my book, get On the Road by Jack Kerouac.
It's great.
It's the best.
When's your birthday? I'll send you.
April 23rd.
Okay.
I'm a Taurus. Coming soon.
Typical Taurus, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a typical Taurus man. I'm a Scorpio moon. Should write that down.
What's the time when you were born?
11:30.
11:30 at night? Of course.
Yeah. Typical. This guy knew it. That's the real science.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the idea of All Gas No Brakes as a show was to combine the I guess road dog ethos of the All Gas No Brakes book with the presentation and editing style of Quarter Confessions. So is to take Quarter Confessions on the road that was pretty much like a simulated hitchhiking experience, but with the editing and like punchy effects of Quarter Confessions, which is like I wear a suit, we do the fast zoom ins, little effects, stuff like that. It was those were the best years. It was just so fun. I mean, imagine you're fresh out of college. You were just a doorman interviewing people about like, making out with their cousin and stuff. And then boom, this company that you've never even heard of is willing to buy you an RV and give you $45K a year, which to me at the time was more money than I could possibly imagine. So I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I need you to find me an RV because he's the only guy I know who knows about cars. And even he doesn't know much about cars. So he's like, all right, I'm on it. So the RV was $20,000. Mm-hmm. And the first event that we were called to cover was the Burning Man festival. And that was tough because Burning Man is not too keen on filming. It's supposed to be a non-commercialized, escape from reality. I mean, they have a gift economy set up. It's based upon like mutual participation and non-exploitation. And so the idea of making a Burning Man video was tough at first because burners oftentimes, and this is not all of them, but are pretty well off in general. A lot of them have tech jobs, are pretty high up in Silicon Valley, and Burning Man is where they go to take off, to take the edge off and basically become their burner persona. On the playa, they become reborn, and they take ketamine and they wear kaleidoscope glasses and steampunk hats,
Yep.
and they, snort MDMA and they run around the sand, listen to
Do you
techno.
snort MDMA? That's one I need to
Yes,
do
you
MDMA.
can. Yeah.
I thought it's a pill. I didn't know.
It's better to take it in a pill or water, but you can snort MDMA.
I definitely need to take MDMA. I'm already full of love, but like that, I'd probably go on another level.
Yeah, don't snort it because it'll only last for you like 90 minutes.
Let me write that down.
Yeah. So anyways, we didn't know what to do because we'd try to film.
Don't
like
snort.
the initial idea for All Gas No Brakes was to, instead of asking people, what's your deepest, darkest secret? It was, what's the craziest trip you've been on? So the idea was to not satirize drunk people, but satirize people who are fried on acid.
Oh.
And so we went to Boulder real quick, did a test interview with some lady who talked about seeing ancestral aliens during a peyote retreat. And so it's pretty easy to extract trip reports from hippies and, gutter punks and stuff like that, or oogles. So we go to Burning Man. We start asking people like, what's your craziest trip story? And they didn't have the same type of free-flowing storytelling style that like a on-the-street crust punk in New Orleans might have, where they're like, I don't give a fuck, I'll tell you whatever. These people were very bottled up about what they were willing to disclose. So we went on Burning Man Radio and we did a broadcast and we said, hey, we're psychedelic journalists. It was me and my friend CL at the time. I said, we're psychedelic journalists. We're parked on 10 and I, which is a cross street in Black Rock City. And we said, we have a 1998 Catalina Coachman Sport. It's an RV. We've set up a podcast studio. We're doing a show about psychedelic voyages.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, 2 hours later, we had 10 people lined up at the RV.
Nice.
Willing to talk. So
Nice.
that vetted people in advance for us. And so we did a couple interviews, and that was that.
Well, what were some of the stories from the trip reports?
There was this lady named Rasma who said that she was known in several circles in Berkeley for being multi-orgasmic and could create multiple repeated climaxes using only her mind by like squinting her eyes and squeezing her eyes together so much that like the pleasure spiral just, went crazy.
I feel like I talked to several people like that at Berkeley.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Not that, well, yeah, that lady. I think she manifests herself in many forms. Yeah.
Right. So, but still, it was on the cruder end. There was one guy named Kimbo Slice was his burner name. He talked about taking a shit after taking like a quarter of mushrooms and how he was like seeing his childhood and visualizing his past life, as the turds were flowing into the toilet, and just talks about the psychedelic union between pooing and taking shrooms.
So he was very visual with his words.
Yeah, so there was stuff like that. I interviewed Alex Gray, which was super cool, about his first trip in San Francisco when he was in 1971, shortly after the Summer of Love. I got to do some pretty cool interviews, but still it was semi-ambush style. I wouldn't say that we were doing journalism yet. It was still comedic video work,
Was there a narrative
No.
that tied it together? It's like really just a trip, comedic almost with the
interview, and then I go Burning Man, and then it's on to the next one. So I guess that could give a loose structure, but it's just like a punchy and slapstick thing. Everything was going good until we interviewed this guy named DJ Soft Baby. But he was wearing a golden leotard with, once again, kaleidoscope glasses, shirtless, dancing, and he was eating chowder out of a plastic bowl. And he was like, this chowder's so fucking good. He's like, this is the best chowder I've ever had in my life. And he starts putting the chowder on his face. And he's like, I want the chowder all over me. Yeah. And so we just go, hey, man, can you just do a dance for us real quick, just for some B-roll? He does a dance. We posted on Instagram the next morning. Doing Things Media CEO calls me, Reed. He says, all of our pages are down. And he's like, that guy you filmed dancing last night on drugs, putting chowder on his face, that guy's at the top of MIT.
top of MIT. I don't understand what
He
that means.
went to
That's like saying, my brother's a rocket scientist. He's like head of NASA or whatever.
Well, I mean, the guy knows people in Boston.
Okay.
Not in the Whitey Bulger sense, but in the reverse sense.
I have trouble believing that DJ Soft Baby.
Oh, DJ Soft Baby was major. It could have been Harvard. It could have been, but it wasn't. It wasn't UMass.
Listen, I don't think there's anybody that's at the head of MIT who's putting what was it all over his face?
Chowder.
Chowder.
Well, then you haven't been to Burning Man yet.
Okay, I've not been to Burning Man.
So,
but I would have to consult my colleagues at MIT if they know DJ Soft Baby.
So whoever
it probably was Harvard. Let's put it on them.
Okay, the top of Harvard. So he made some calls, to the tops, to the heads of big tech, and got all the Doing Things Media pages taken down. At the time, that was like a vast network of pages, and we ended up having to take obviously the video came down. And he held the entire network of Instagram pages hostage. And so that was he made us agree to never post that video again, and then somehow got all of our pages reinstated. So that was my first brush with powerful people on drugs, and that was probably my last brush with powerful people on drugs.
So what did you transition into from there?
I think after Burning Man, we went to the South, went to Talladega race weekend, went to a Donald Trump Jr. book signing, went to a Juggalo adjacent fetish mansion in Central Florida called the Sausage Castle.
Juggalo adjacent sausage. Okay, can you run that by me again?
It's a Juggalo adjacent fetish mansion in Central Florida.
Okay. Fetish mansion in Central Florida. Juggalo adjacent. I mean, every single one of those words I feel like needs a book or something.
Right.
So, by the way, who are the Juggalos? Is this
Just
ICP?
ICP fans.
ICP fans. Okay.
But I say adjacent because it's not a Juggalo mansion, but there's a lot of Juggalos who kick it at the mansion, and it's Juggalo friendly.
Oh, okay. Juggalo friendly.
Yeah, because they get made fun of in a lot of places.
Oh, so it's not okay. Got it.
And Juggalos say outrageous shit, and they embarrass themselves and they fight a lot. So they're on the FBI's gang list, which, if you ask me, and
ICP or the
Juggalos.
The Juggalos.
Who
is the head of the Juggalos?
It would be Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. But there's associated acts like Twisted, and there's a whole rabbit hole. Honestly, Tech Nine is sort of a part of that.
Tech Nine. I don't know who that is. Should I know?
He's he's actually one of the top selling touring rappers, despite having sort of not that many streams. Tech Nine is he's got a huge cult following in Missouri. This is like the Juggalos started in Warren, Michigan.
We should also say ICP, Insane Clown Posse. So this is a thing. This is a movement.
Oh yeah, if you went to Seattle right now and punched a cop and they booked you in county jail, you may end up running with the Juggalos.
Running with the Juggalos.
They're a presence in Pacific Northwest prison system, from what I've heard.
Can you tell a Juggalo from like a distance?
Well, they say whoop whoop. So if you see a Juggalo, they'll say that. Also, I'll
try to look out for that.
They're kind of. It's called the Dark Carnival, is the mythology they abide by.
What do they define themselves? What's the ideology?
A family.
No, I understand, but what's the ideology? What's the philosophical foundation of the?
They're anti-racist. They like to drink Faygo and also just like cheap liquor and stuff like that. They're into drugs.
Yeah.
A lot of circles, if you pull out a crack pipe, people will be like, I don't want to drink with you anymore. If you're at a Juggalo party and someone's smoking Twiz or something, it's relatively accepted.
What's Twiz?
Meth.
Right. Lots of tattoos?
Yeah. The Hatchet Man is the most common one. So it's a Psychopathic Records logo. It's a cartoon of a clown wielding a hatchet. It's actually a pretty sick logo.
I vaguely remember enjoying some of the ICP music.
It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's funny. It's edgy.
Well, they get satirized a lot, but I got love for the clowns. And also, so when All Gas No Brakes transitioned away from, rich elite drug parties and into like the South, that's when the fun really started to happen. Living in your RV in Alabama and Florida and stuff is the best.
Why? What is it about it?
People are just so friendly down there, and it's warm year round, and people are non-judgmental. It's just great. The South gets hated on a lot, especially in the coastal states. Mississippi and Alabama are kind of like the butts of a lot of jokes and stuff, but those are great states.
No, I love it. New Mexico, Albuquerque, all those.
Oh yeah, the ABQs. It's great.
ABQ, what's that?
Albuquerque. It's what Jesse Pinkman called it, as the ABQ.
Oh shit! The depth of references you bring to the table is intense.
It's okay.
I met a lady in Albuquerque when I was traveling across the United States, and she said, "Take me with you." I said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't."
Yeah,
but I think about that lady.
I think you made the right call.
I don't know. Yeah, On the Road.
Yeah,
by Jack Kerouac.
Best book I've ever read in my life.
There's a moment when he meets a nice girl on a bus, and they have a love affair. It was good.
On the bus, or they?
No. They went to California. Well, yeah, and there was a love affair on the bus, but it wasn't sexual. It was just romantic. It was
in the air.
It was in the air, which there is something in the air on the bus, like a Greyhound, Megabus, that type of situation. There's
certainly something in the air.
But it's a romance. There is, man.
Yeah.
When you travel across, because it's like strangers getting together, and you're like feeling each other out, but you're in it, like you each have a story, because you wouldn't be taking a bus unless you had a story. So especially if you're traveling cross country, there's something.
You ever taken the dollar bus from Philly to New York, the Chinatown bus?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That's a great bus. The people on that.
It's not a fucking $1 though.
It was there's some that are $5.
No. If you book it way ahead of time, which it's like $20. I was like, this is a fucking lie, calling it $1.
I don't
know why I'm swearing. The anger came out. I apologize.
Hey, swearing's okay sometimes. Last time I was on the Chinatown bus, there was like a rooster walking down the aisle.
Actual rooster?
Yeah. Chilling. It was awesome.
Well, there's a nice part of your film with a rooster.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. That felt almost fake.
Yeah.
Did you plant the rooster?
No, the rooster. There's a place in Ybor City in Tampa where roosters walk around all the time, and we had a rooster parked there, right by the main drag. What did I say? We had a rooster parked. We had the RV parked in Ybor City for a long time, and the rooster laid eggs in the undercarriage.